Hello, everybody. How are you today? I hope you are doing great because it is a fabulous day. And today we're talking about people. Have they become meaner? If you want to know more about this, just stick around. I have a name for what I think is happening. It's called post-pandemic personality. I have noticed, and I'm sure you have too, that for some reason people are becoming more aggressive, more mean, more impatient, less tolerant, less cooperative. I can go on and on and on. And I've just noticed this post-pandemic, even though I know that we still haven't really finished with the pandemic, sadly. And I know people have been stressed out because of the pandemic. I was very stressed. I know we've had depression because of the pandemic. We've had a lot of sadness. We've had a lot of emotion connected with the pandemic. But I think that we've also had a societal shift in terms of behavior. I think people are more aggressive. I think they're more intolerant, and that might have something to do with political views, but I don't think so because I think I see this behavior all around the world. So what is causing this? I don't know. I see that our youth is becoming more violent. We're looking at youth, teenagers, getting into violent crimes. We're looking at everybody. I mean, everybody at a store, at a grocery store, you see adults fighting with each other. In the street, driving, you see a lot more road rage. You see neighbors fighting with each other. You see, I don't know, I'm not imagining this. I have spoken with psychologists about it already, with different psychologists to gather their professional opinion. Who are they seeing? Who are they giving help to? Has the mental attitude of their clientele changed? And basically, everybody tells me the same thing. Yes, they have. People are more aggressive, more less inclined to behave diplomatically. Basically, that's it. They're more inclined to be to give an immediate response that is unfiltered. Now, why is it that a lot of things fed into this outcome? For example, the combination of a hot political environment, of the stress of the pandemic and being shut in for a while and suffering through maybe economic and social stress, emotional stress, the loss of people that they know, the loss of their economic stability. Then you add on to that the many years that we have been dealing with internet and with social media and with what people identify as being able to hide behind the keyboard to say what you want. So have all of these aspects merged together and created a very dangerous situation for society in general, because it is impacting our present. It is causing our youth to get in trouble. It is causing our adults to get in trouble. And I'm sure it's going to impact our future. I don't see this stopping and getting better. I see this getting worse. So, we have cyber stalking. We have people who have really been greatly affected by negative comments. We have the cancel culture. But it's not only on the internet. That behavior is also seen in person. In general, I would say that society or humanity has become meaner. That's the only way I can describe it. Society has become meaner, less patient, less tolerant, less respectful, and they've dispensed with the ethics or the societal behaviors that we've accepted as appropriate protocol. So I'm concerned. And one of the things that I was talking to a friend of mine who's a psychologist, she was saying, it has to be taught. The parents obviously don't know it. So we have to really teach it in school starting from pre-K. Now there's a problem right there because it's a very delicate line that can be challenged, even though erroneously, if you teach behaviors that are outside of the academic domain. So for example, you can say, raise your hand to ask a question, don't interrupt people. You can say, don't be offensive to people. There are a lot of things you can say, but sometimes people will fight against social norms if they're being taught in school. I don't think that's appropriate because I believe that there are certain mores and behaviors that are accepted universally, but you have to be careful, unfortunately, because I do think that some students need it. They need that reinforcement of social behaviors that are productive, and they need to realize which social dynamics are counterproductive and problematic and even dangerous. So for example, I teach Spanish, and in Spanish there is a proper way to address adults, and then there's a casual way to address people. So you would call an adult by usted instead of tú. In English, you only have you, so it's only one term. But in Spanish, there's you for people that you have to address in a respectful manner, like your boss, adults, the elderly. You have to say usted. It is a proper you, let's say. But I remember one time, I'm a Spanish teacher, so if I'm teaching Spanish, of course I have to use those standards. And I had this one student who kept approaching me as not in the proper format. They were saying, oh, let's compare it to, hey you, right? That would be a good comparison. If a student kept saying, hey you, then I remember I kept saying, no, you can't address me in that manner. You have to talk to me this way. Well, let me tell you, that became an issue because I was, the parent complained and it became an issue. And I had to be, I had to be very firm and kind of, it was not what my administration had expected that I would do. And I had to be firm and I had to say, listen, I teach Spanish. This is part of Spanish instruction. So whether culturally they say, hey, you to teachers, that's okay. But in Spanish, it's not. Because there's a proper way of addressing adults and teachers and doctors and authority in Spanish. And people you don't know. They can be your same age, but if you don't know them, then there's a proper way of addressing them. But anyway, I remember that I had to really defend my position on such a simple level. And now I think it's even worse. I think that we do need to teach just the basics. Now, we have a program called Values Matters that is pretty universal. The values, the character, integrity, honesty, all of those terms are universal. The concepts are pretty standard, universal, and can be easily accepted. However, I do find it difficult to connect the concept with the actions. So even though we teach the concept of integrity, honesty, perseverance, we teach those values that are so important, that concept is deliverable. However, to observe the action that is related to that concept, to evaluate an action that is related to that concept of value, is very difficult to assess and enforce and request of that type of behavior. Very difficult, and that's where I find the problem is. I think that we need to do a shift. We must pivot from not only teaching the concept, which we teach in a very beautiful way, because the curriculum is lovely, but we need to also pivot to action, where we have to see character and we have to evaluate it and we have to redirect when it's not being demonstrated. It has to be as important as math and language arts, reading and writing. And I recognize that's where the problem is, because people feel that they have the liberty to choose whether they're going to have values or not. And okay, if that's your position, all right, but let us at least teach the standard, the basic universal values, and then you choose if you're going to use them or not when you're an adult. I don't know, or when you're outside of school grounds. I don't know, maybe I'm asking for too much, or maybe I haven't thought this through, but I think that when I see violence at school, when I see, behaviors that are dangerous, I think that it's because we don't have that other aspect of the importance of demonstrating the values that you are being taught. So I don't know. What do you think? Should we actually evaluate values? Is that a little too tricky? Should we just teach the concept and not observe it and qualify it as, are you exercising a good set of values? And these are universal. Okay, I'm not going to say like a religious value or something so personal, but a universal, like be honest, have integrity, do your best work all the time, be punctual, things like that. Universal values. I think we can agree that these are good things to have and to share and to exercise. But it gets tricky in a public school. I know it was very easy to do when I taught in a private school, but in a public school it gets tricky, right? What do you think? I don't know. Let me know what you think. All right, I hope you like this video. Please subscribe, but more important than all of that, I hope that you have a day filled with peace, love, and joy.